All right. People got to really understand what's going on in our country. The Democratic Party do not want to have voter ID, which 71% of Democrats do and 95 of Republicans do. Now that is like 80, I think 2% of all Americans want voter ID. If you guys really truly want this country to change, don't put Democrats in office. Vote strictly for the Republican Party right now as far as Congress and the Senate. Actual border laws will get done. Make it where we don't have to have 60%, 60 votes. That will make it easy for the Democratic Party to be knocked under the rug and stop throwing out all of these insane laws they want to make. I mean, no voter ID laws, just register whoever they want. Right now, you're talking about 6 million people voting illegally in our elections. They're giving these people IDs, they're giving these people driver's licenses everywhere, and then registering them automatically. Listen to what's going on.
The House is set to vote this week on the SAVE Act, requiring voters to show proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. President Trump is stressing the importance of securing our elections.
I want to see elections be honest, and if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Pennsylvania. Take a look at
they got 300,000 illegal votes in
look
Georgia.
At some of the places
they just found out.
300,000 corruption on elections, and the federal government
so
should
all
not
of them
allow
votes
that.
in
The
2020 as far as the Senate.
Yeah, it's funny you point out
senators
Atlanta.
that was elected for
Democrats.
County, they both
but Democrats,
was put in there illegally.
This bill, including that one senator from Georgia, my senator. He even thought John Ossoff. He thought, even though he requires attendees.
Now, this guy, John Ossoff, he said he wanted voter ID until they found out he's going to run for office again. Then he found out that, guess what? He's going to probably lose if they have voter ID, which is pretty sad. That means he only cares about it when it's convenient for him.
To his campaign event to show photo ID, I believe this week. Joining us now is Texas Congressman Pat Fallon.
Oh, yeah. He wants you to show voter ID at his event, to come into his event, but he don't want it for voting. You got to have voter ID to get on a plane, to buy cigarettes, to buy liquor, to do most anything in America. But the one thing you really need it is to vote, and it should be that way. But politicians don't want it that way. They can get in illegal. And it's mainly Democrats that are doing this.
He sits on the House Oversight and Armed Services Committees. Congressman, thank you for joining us. So we're looking at this bill, the SAVE Act. I know there was talk about including it into the negotiation for the funding bill. Now it looks like maybe it's going to be a standalone bill to get out of the House with Republican support. Where is this bill? What levers in Congress do you all have to try to actually
get out of the Congress?
Well, we'll pass it out of the House because we're a majority-driven institution.
You got to have
and
60
every
votes
Republican
to get it out of the Senate.
that I'm aware of is for it because this is eminently reasonable. It's
this is why we need all
when you look at the
Republicans
polling,
vote.
the American people
Everybody
are also
needs to get out
really
and vote for
right behind President Trump, and so much as 83 to 84% of any legitimate poll says that Americans
if you notice, all these illegals that's in Congress,
they think it's a good idea.
They hate
when the
white
Democrats
Americans.
oppose
They
it,
hate
and Chuck
us.
Schumer says crazy things like
they show
this
it
is Jim Crow
constantly.
2.0.
If you're
It's
white
exposing
and
his
you
soft
stand for
bigotry
Trump,
and low expectations,
and you
and
vote for
also
Trump,
if he
they
would resort to
hate
that
us.
kind of hyperbole, it's really shame on him.
Congressman, you mentioned Chuck Schumer.
All
his
of this is
counterpart
very sad.
in your chamber, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, he was just on another network and was asked about how many Democrats out in the country support voter ID. It's 70+%. 3/4 of black voters. He was challenged on that point, and he came back and said
And
this is voter
I hear
suppression.
a lot of black people, excuse me for stopping it again, but I hear a lot of black people complain and saying, oh, you guys are, messing with our brothers, these Spanish people, these illegals. Black people don't understand. These are the people that are taking your jobs. Democrats don't want you guys to vote Republican strictly because it can hold you down and keep you voting Democrats for the rest of your life. You truly want to be free in life? stop voting for the Democratic Party.
And he also said this is a violation of federalism. He said it's the states that are responsible for administering elections, not the federal government. He's right about that. I'm not sure an ID component to confirm you're a citizen to register to vote is something that would interfere with that. But I find it very interesting that Jeffries would be making this plea about states' rights, given the last time his party ran the House of Representatives, their first bill, H.R. 1, was a total federal takeover of elections to benefit their party. Who does he think he's kidding here?
Well, if the Democrats didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. I mean, obviously, that's very hypocritical of Leader Jeffries to say that.
See, they
when
only
you look
want
at the breakdown, even when you look at,
like
you mentioned about black voters, Hispanic voters, white voters,
the American
we
people at all.
Are,
they really
hover
truly
around
don't.
80% approval because we live in America in 2025 where you need an ID to go on an airplane. You need an ID if you want to purchase alcohol. You need an ID for pretty much every facet of your life. So why would you think it would be more difficult for a minority to have an ID? It's very insulting. And what it says
they say
is
black
Democrats
people can't
truly
get
believe
IDs
that
because they can't get to the they can't get rights to get an ID. That is so I mean, that really makes black people look stupid. Black people can get IDs. Most of them have driver's license. It's a shame how the Democratic Party treats black people, but then black people vote for the Democrats when they just tell you you're so stupid. There's nothing stupid about black people. The only thing stupid about black people is the ones that don't want to be smart. The ones that want to go out there and commit crimes and do things like that. But that's white people too. That ain't just blacks.
About 1 to 5% additional voting because of lax rules in states like California and Oregon, where you don't even vote in person anymore. You vote by mail. So if you want $100 million in the lottery, you can redeem it two ways. What's the most secure way? You can walk in and give them the ticket, or you can mail it in. Nobody ever mails in a $100 million ticket. We should have that same standard for our federal elections.
That's right. Listen, honestly, nobody should be voting by mail except for people in the military that's overseas. And that's it. If they say, well, what if I'm in a wheelchair and I can't get there? Well, then you shouldn't be able to vote. Plain and simple. There's so many people in wheelchairs that get around every day. If you're saying you can't get there because you're in a wheelchair or something else like that, that just means you're lazy and you don't want to do it. You're just trying to make an excuse why you should have mail-in voting. Mail-in voting is the worst thing that America has ever started from day one. If you can't go in and vote with an ID, you shouldn't be able to vote, my opinion.
I agree with you, Congressman. If you can riot in person, you can vote in person, and you can show an ID. I'm always proud to do it in the great state of Tennessee. I want to ask you again about the SAVE Act.
All
it's
they
very
want to do
important
is
to me. Very close with Scott Presler, who I know has been pushing Senator Thune on this, hoping to get this across the finish line. So I guess I want to ask you, how far are Republicans in Congress willing to go to force this issue? And how far should they be willing to go to get this across the finish line?
We should go to the mats. Again, it'll go out of the House. I think some Democrats will even vote for it. We'll see. It'll be a handful, probably not more than 10, but every Republican will. So then it's a question of, can you get the 60 votes in the Senate? We got 53 pretty much for sure with the GOP. Can we get 7 Democrats, or will they end debate and just let it go to the floor? And we should really fight, because if we don't have honest, fair, transparent, and
here's another thing about elections. If you get so many of these people, Democrats in office, and they get rid of the filibuster, you might as well say goodbye to the United States, because they will change every rule to let millions and millions and millions of people come into this country and pretty much do what they want. Look at all the Somalians right now. There's over 54% of them on food stamps that came here. How much is in Michigan right now? 54% of Somalians are on food stamps. How many Americans in Michigan? 7%. That's a hell of a difference.
That we can all believe in, we're in jeopardy of losing our republic. So there's nothing more important than passing the SAVE Act and doing it as quickly as possible.
Just a quick follow-up to that. Is it worth blowing up the filibuster to get it across the finish line?
No. You don't want to blow it up.
Well, that's a question I guess the senators are going to have to answer. I would seriously consider it because it's that important.
Wow. Okay. Congressman, I do want to switch gears and talk about Iran. You know, the U.S. and Iran just had some talks, and the Islamic Republic says they're not going to back down from their nuclear ambitions. They're saying this: no country has the right to.
And here's another thing. You know, say there's a war. How many Democrats you think are actually going to go to war? How many of them actually think all these drag queens are out there, all these illegals? So when we go fight a war, who's left in this country to look after it? Illegals and a bunch of Democrats that don't care about this country. It shows you where it really stands between Republicans and Democrats.
Dictate their behavior. They're also adding that America's military deployment in the region, they say it does not scare them, Congressman. You know, we also want them to stop funding terrorist organizations in the region, but they won't even talk about that.
Thanks for watching the video. Please
I'm wondering,
like and subscribe.
where do you see this kind of leads the talks? They say Iran says they're willing to continue.